Ali, I would like to welcome you in our show. Such a great opportunity to have you on engine ride. You're a champion, pilot #1 in Europe. Such a great opportunity to have you here. And man, I've seen you doing a great and wicked job out there with the Kuwaiti pilots.
I'm really impressed actually. It's my first time to Kuwait, so I didn't know what to expect. But to see the flying standards really take me aback. You know, I travel all around the world and I see people around the world with collections, not as good as this, but nearly. But to see these models being flown so well, yeah, it was a pleasant surprise.
Do you think they will achieve something in a day as a Kuwaiti pilots? Let's say if they get into, let's say, world champions or something like that.
I don't see why not. With a little bit of refinement, the flying that I saw over the last 2 days was competitive, definitely. In some of the competitions that I've been to, it was up there amongst, you know, the top 10 pilots without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you about something. The director said yesterday it was like freezing cold. How did you find Kuwait?
Yeah, it's been a big surprise. I mean, it's my, like I said, the first time to Kuwait, so I didn't know what to expect. I had a rough idea, but cold wasn't what I was expecting. Certainly when the sun starts to go down and the temperature drops, yeah, it's really surprising.
Colder than UK, right?
No, don't be daft. It's like -1 back there at the moment right now. But yeah, I pack like shorts and t-shirts, and I've only bought a couple of jumpers and I'm struggling.
That's good. How did you get into this business? How did you start? I heard that you started in this business with your dad. You were like handling a shop, aviation shop or something like that in Iran?
Well, first and foremost, it was my hobby. Dad got me into it at a very early age as a hobby. It's always been my father's business, but working for other people. He ran some shops for some people in England. When we were there and I was just finishing university, he decided that he wanted to work for himself. And I had a marketing degree, so I figured it might be a good idea if we joined forces. And we set up our first shop 10 years ago, just when I left university. And now we have 5 shops around the UK selling all the radio control equipment. And alongside the business side of things, I've kept it as a hobby, which has been good.
Let me ask you something, Ali. What's your favorite plane?
I get asked that question quite a lot, actually, and there is no definitive answer. I love them all. You know, it's one of the real luxuries of my job, my hobby, being combined. I get to play with all the different types, and yeah, sometimes I really enjoy flying the jets, and then I can switch to the propellers and get just as much enjoyment. Helicopters, the gliders, there really isn't a particular favourite. I love them all.
What's the purpose of your visit? Are you giving like a certain flying instructions to the Kuwaiti pilots?
Well, yeah, firstly I was invited and hosted by Mr. Al-Ghanim, who's a great customer of mine, and the idea was to come over and fly some of the planes that I've sold him, help set them up, help tweak them so they fly better, and give him some tuition, some help to guide him through. You know, he already knows how to fly really well. My job, if you like, was just to refine things and make things a little better.
See, this is what we face in Kuwait actually. We've got really good pilots, but we lack of, let's say, instructors or pro people.
I understand what you're saying. It's a case with everyone. It's one of those hobbies or things that you need to be taught from the very start, but also as you carry on. To be able to fly without an instructor is one thing, but to refine it into a skill is another, and I think that's what I've seen today. Your guys have got such natural talents with flying and ability that's not a problem. It's not someone like my job to come out here and teach them the basics. They know all of that, it's no problem. It's just to make the little adjustments to their flying style, if they want to make it more competitive, if they want to make it more flamboyant, more daring, and yeah, it's only little things.
See, this is what I like in Kuwaiti, young talented people. They like to experience everything and they like to know about everything, but they need to, like, let's say, the right people to guide them, to, let's say, get them back on track, on the right track.
Well, I think I've really seen a massive level of enthusiasm here, which is paramount. You know, you only have to walk out onto that strip to feel the atmosphere, to feel the vibe of the field, and to see that everyone who's there is enjoying themselves. So yeah, that's definitely the first step to anyone becoming good at a hobby of any sort, you know, that they enjoy it, and you really experience that out on that field.
How many flying hours you've got?
That's a tough question to answer, really. I've been flying now since I was 3 years old, so that's 29 years.
29
quite
years.
some time. I don't fly that much during the week, so I don't do any practice flying. My flying is generally at events, exhibitions, or jobs like this. If I had to work it out, it'd be in the tens of thousands, really. It really would.
And let's say, can you reach like more than 15,000 flying hours?
Oh yeah, some of the guys who actually make a living out of flying, the competitive guys, they're talking about doing some silly amounts, before a competition. They're talking about doing 50 hours a week practice.
50 hours a week?
Yeah, before a competition. So they'll go out and fly the same flight, the same competitive flight as practicing, probably, 30, 40 times in succession in a week. So it's quite easy to notch up the hours.
Ali, I've heard that you were supposed to win the World Jet Masters in Thailand, but there's something happened, a crash or something.
I don't know about what was supposed to, but I was doing quite well. It was one of the first competitions that I went to. And yeah, we'd flown the first round and done really, really well. The plane was competitive, everything was working well. And to one of my competition flights, I had a battery failure, which caused the engine to shut down just at the wrong sort of time. And the field in Thailand was very narrow. It was a lovely runway, but surrounded by swamp. And it ended up landing in the swamp, and the plane got damaged just so it was unrepairable to fly the next round. So that put me out of contention.
Did you repair it now, or?
Yeah, it repaired. We brought it back to England and repaired it, and it looked like new and soldered on. And
that's good.
It was good. It was a bit sad, really, but it wasn't a total loss.
It was such a great pleasure, Ali, to have you in our show. If I asked you to tell us a little advice for the new people in this field, what would you say?
There's a lot of advice to give, really, but to keep it short, the main thing is to seek the help of somebody who knows how to fly. It's not rocket science, this hobby. It's a great hobby. It's pretty simple. But starting as a raw novice, it's very hard to teach yourself because the chances of the plane being damaged or crashing. Go and find someone, whether it's a club, whether it's someone you know who's got some flying experience, who can just look over your shoulder and help you out. And then enjoy it, really take a lot from this hobby. It's got a lot to give. It's very varied, there's all different disciplines and different types, so have fun whilst doing it.
Appreciate it, Ali.
No
Thanks
problem.
a lot for being in our show.
Anytime.